Fantastic.
Okay.
Welcome to Austrian Wine Time. Joining you here from La Bergerie and Autos in Fredericksburg, Texas, and we're so grateful for your time. I wanted to give you a little bit of opportunity to introduce yourselves and tell us about your roles within Brundlmayer.
Very good, Thomas. You want to start?
I start. I'm the bottle opener of Brundlmayer here in the. I'm trying. I hope I don't make a mess now because I just brought this bottle out of my car, you know. So I just opened it. We might taste later. So wonderful. I'm Thomas Klinger, and I'm the director of sales and marketing in the company. And since 2002, when I came from the Austrian Wine Marketing Board, I come from a restaurant family in Upper Austria, and we used to buy a lot of wines from Brundlmayer family. We were friends, and then at some point I made my WSET and everything. I had another studies. It was my third life in wine, as so often it happens. Friends with Willy and Edwige, and then they asked me after I did this 7 years in the wine marketing board if I would like to come over and join them for the sales director, which was a big honor and it's a pleasure. And then I hand over to Andreas, who joined us in 2016, to my great pleasure too.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit newer, but it's almost already 5 years now that I, together with Willy and Edwige and Thomas, can how should I say, work within our great team and be.
Man, don't be so modest. You direct the company. That's the truth.
Yeah, that's okay.
And one of the greatest educators of all time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. I'm blushing probably now a little bit, but no, it's a nice family and it's a great family team that we have here, and therefore just pleased to be working along some really great palates, some really great people in the vineyards, in the cellar. This big team of sales, which consists basically of Thomas, and I'm there.
The two of us.
But it's great to be with you and tell you a little bit about our wines.
Wonderful. Well, we're really grateful that you could join us. And for our viewers, just to introduce myself, my name is Paula Salinas. I'm the beverage director for Side Street Hospitality here in Fredericksburg, Texas. And we're in the Texas Hill Country Corridor, right between Austin and San Antonio. And we share a heritage, which is really exciting. We're celebrating our 175th anniversary as a town that is settled by the German peoples and peoples from the Habsburg Empire, who settled here in the 1800s. So we have a great love of German and Austrian wine already. We're excited to share Brundlmayer. We have been sharing Brundlmayer with our guests for years now. But in particular, I'm really excited to talk about, when I think of the wines of Brundlmayer, I think of, incredibly elegant, focused, but powerful Rieslings and Gruners from some of the best sites, not only in Austria, of course, but in all of Europe. But today we're sharing a category that I'm very passionate about, being a sparkling wine lover, and that's the category of sec. So the two wines that we're going to be tasting today are the Brundlmayer Brut Reserve, and I'll hold up the bottle here. Cheers. And the Brundlmayer Brut Rosé Reserve. So I'm going to pull my glass, and I would love for you to tell us a little bit about where these wines are coming from. What are the influences? What are your personal influences in making these wines? A little bit about the sect category in general. And we can't wait to taste these wines with you.
Very good. Yeah, a pleasure to tell about also about this category that we have been making for over 30 years now. So the family is consisting of two nations basically. So Willy, obviously, he's from here, which is very clear. And then Edwige, his wife, is hailing from Paris. So this is she's certainly one of the most influential persons when it comes to our sect story, because back in the late 80s, she sort of asked Willy, while missing the champagne bubbles from France, to make something of a similar sort in Langenlois. And so rather really early on, the family started producing sect according to the traditional method, together with one other colleague here in Langenlois in the same year. We're talking about grower sect from Austria from the 70s. A cousin relative from Willy was the first one to introduce grower sect in Austria as such. And so there's a little bit of history about bubbles in our house already, apart from our dry Grüners and Rieslings and some of the earlier ripening reds, which we then basically also use for both of these wines, as a matter of fact. So Pinot Noir, definitely in both wines, Zweigelt then on the Rosé side. And the way we make them is, of course, trying to achieve beautiful, healthy fruit in the vineyards, bringing those in hand harvested, like the complete harvest is practiced at our estate, in 25 kilo crates, so they're not very big. We're trying to reduce the dump height, so to bring in very healthy, crisp, fresh fruit and process them accordingly, very gently in presses with only a little bit of pressure. After this, we're trying to separate, obviously, the free run juice versus the first pressing. All these are really, I guess, very crucial and elementary parts for making high quality base wines. If you don't have a proper quality base wines, I don't think you can increase the quality with your other, measures in the cellar. So it starts, of course, out in the vineyards. And Paula, if it's okay, I have a little presentation that we could share on the screen. If you want.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
If you want to see just a couple impressions and pictures, and also talk about basically these two sparklers. Let me just make sure I have the right one. I think I need to pull up this is the one, yeah. So we are located about 15 minutes northwest of Vienna in the town called Langenlois. And speaking of sect, really we can now say that Langenlois developed itself as basically the sect center for Austria. Yeah. If we move on, obviously we have here the four main climatic influences for Austrian vineyards in general, but the one that is really very influential for us is number 3, this cool air from the north, and that is also one of the factors why we basically have really good conditions for making balanced, refreshing, crisp, sparkling wines. So Kamptal DSC is where we are located here, and if we look at these influences, we could basically also say about the quality sparkling wines here. We have these cooling winds from the forest district, from the Waldviertel that come in, and quite crystalline, limestone-based and acidic rocks. So 2 components that are already very crucial for making high-quality sparkling wines. And yes, with the Kamptal's Weinkellerei, Wein- und Sektkellerei in the early 20th century, we already have a bit of history, generally speaking, for our region for sparkling wine. We have a high percentage of organic farmland, as you may know, especially in the Kamptal. We have received the certification with the 2018 vintage. To put Willy and Edwige also into the picture, here are the 2 in one of our riddling houses. So speaking of which, we are still, and I moved this a little bit along. I moved this a little bit along. We're still hand riddling everything here. And you asked us about how we make the sparkling wines in our house. I explained up until the must, and maybe Thomas can then also talk a little bit about then the lees aging process, etc.
Yeah, you come if you have the base wine and you put it and then you put it in the bottle with sugar and yeast, and you make the second fermentation, and then it's very important how long you keep them on the lees. And that's we have in our natural cellar, we have niches for the reserves and for the grocery reserves, and there we can really keep them in ideal temperatures between, the cellar there might have between 10 and 13.5 maximum temperature. So we can keep them for years, and they are beautiful because you see the bottles when you walk through the cellar, you see the barrels, and then you see the niches, and the people ask, oh, what do you have there? And so they can really store. And besides, of course, in our modern riddling house, we have the boxes with the sec, with the Brut and the Brut Rosé, which have to lay at least for 1.5 years. Yeah, basically, that's you saw the pyramid. Andreas later will perhaps come back to the pyramid, but lees aging is one of the most important flavor indulging things in the sparkling wine. The other thing is, of course, what Andreas told with the climate, the freshness, the coolness, crispness of the Austrian climate, and of course the varietals which we use, the Burgundy varietals, because the Cantal has also a history not only in the sect producing from the 20s, but also in the varietals, in the Burgundy type varietals. So Chardonnay, Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, but also Pinot Noir, it's another story, have a history that basically with interruptions dates back to the medieval time. If you look at some of places where wine was made in the 10th and 11th century, that's the same in this old area of winemaking, of the cool climate wine north of the Danube or along the Rhine. If you say from Germany, Austria, and also if you want Switzerland and some part of eastern of Vienna. Andreas, what would you like to tell me again about the yeast?
No, not only yeast, but then maybe what is also crucial, Paula, for us is, of course, everything we do for the sparklers is done in-house. So we obviously we have all equipment available. We make the base wines. We do the tirage in our house. We do the bottling for the second fermentation here. And then, as Thomas explained, an extensive lees aging regime, starting from, I would say now, 18 to 24 months for the Brut Rosé. And then we gear up to 75 months for some of the top sparkling wines that we have available. And after this, of course, one of the most elementary steps in making sparkling wine, the disgorgement process. Speaking of which is also, I think, very important. I do not have the US label on here, but you have the disgorgement date on there too, which is really crucial.
What is your disgorgement date, by the way, on the bottle back?
It is 2019, November.
Okay.
November 2019.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that will tell you from this moment on, from disgorgement. So when we get rid of this lees that are then trapped basically in the neck of the bottle, we give ourselves about 6 months time here to store them again after disgorgement, and only then we start shipping out, because once this bottle receives the liqueur d'expedition, the final dosage level, this liqueur needs to harmonize well with the sparkling wine itself. And up until that happens, we believe about half a year is just the right time. And then once released, it should be beautifully enjoyable. You have November 19. We normally say, in the best case scenario, a year to a year and a half post disgorgement is a really beautiful, proper time where everything should be in sync.
Yeah,
well, I can attest that these wines are drinking absolutely beautifully right now, and it's a great way to start a morning. The involvement from all four of you, with your hands on from the hand riddling to the extended lees aging, really assisting in the development of the complexity and nuance of these wines. It's really evident in the glass and very exciting to taste.
It's also very, very interesting to if you find a bottle of sparkling that rested a little bit longer in the cellar, it does not say it's gone. No, it's just changing. It also it's ripening perhaps a little bit longer than the wines that are made to store for 20 years. But I was also very surprised being in Switzerland. Some guy asked, "Hey, I have a bottle of this Disgorgement 2002. I don't dare ordering it because we don't want to make the sommelier shame." I said, "No problem, order it. Let's try." And it was gorgeous. It was just ripe, and the perlage often is smoother. So there is. So judging sparkling wines, and often we see, if you don't see the disgorgement date, you don't have any idea whether this is the style of the sect itself or whether it's just the maturing. So I think we are very happy to have this, and we can also follow it really back, not only from the disgorgement date, but also from the numbers on the back to really the filling of the bottle. And I think that's important for us also to guarantee and enhance the quality. And what I also have to say from Andreas, in the last years, it's an enthusiasm going on. We are tasting the Rosé soon. Perhaps the story for the Rosé is very interesting also because Edwige again, did it. And when I came in the office the first day and Edwige saw me, it was stunning because she said, "Thomas, glad that you are here, but you have to convince Willy to produce a Brut Rosé." And I said, "Okay, Edwige, please, I have no idea. I have to look it up." And then we saw that we have really wonderful grapes, red grapes. And at that time, there was a fashion in Austria, in the red wine scene, still being very young, to try to imitate a little bit the powerful red wines, which worked very well in the Burgenland. We were still on the course of Willy's father producing really traditional, cool climate red wines, some Pinot Noirs, some Zweigelt, some St. Laurent. And I saw that we were losing a little bit market in the red wine area in Austria. And I said, why? Also from a marketing point of view, from the market side of view, it would be interesting trying. When we started in 2002, and I think this takes time. You don't have so much possibilities for trials in the life, So we worked for 5 years until we could try the first time. The Brut Rosé was released in 2007, the first. And we were quite confident because our Rosé from Zweigelt was also very, very cherished in the HoReCa scene, in the restaurants. So we had good customers who were looking forward to this, and we sent it around and we did some PR, and we thought we had a stocks of several years. It was sold in several months. It was an incredible story. So we had to redo. It was almost like we say in Austria, shooting in your knee, because you had to restart the whole process. But then the Brut Rosé soon came up as a second classic beside the classic Brut, which is perfect, and up to now, we're very happy having it. And it was not easy, originally meant to be sold all around the world. It was really a product that's sold by the affection. It was the people from your people, distributors came in and tasted the sect, said, "Wow, it's gorgeous, wonderful sect, and we want to have it." And only some cases, because you don't know all people drinking champagne. Then there were some places in New York who started perhaps with Austrian-related places who said, "Wow, great, after concert, people coming in." And there it spreads very slowly. And today, it's not uninteresting what we are selling in the States. So I hope it still continues selling by the taste and by the flavor, and not by the brain and by the thing. So it's a product of love, and it should be drunk with love too.
Well, we're very grateful for your efforts, because it is just, it's exquisite, and we love sharing it with our guests, and our guests are very responsive, and we look forward to having it for many years to come. So don't give up.
Thank you. No, it's perfect.
And Paula, the disgorgement date for the Brut Reserve is what?
So it's so this one is December 2018.
December 18. Okay. Yeah. So we are now here already on July and August of 2020, but you have basically the same base wine in there as we have. And if you look at the grape varietal composition, it's again Burgundy varietal focused. These old varieties that exist here, quantitatively, they're not the big numbers that you will see here in the Kamtal from Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Pinot Gris, etc. But for us, very crucial and elementary in the sparkling wine regime. They're all located more on on the higher end sides with granite and granite based. On the one hand, with Steinberg and limestone subsoil. Spiegel is very, very loessy, so quite a lot of wind-blown sand there deposited during the Ice Age in the area. So a little bit richer soil type where we have some Grüner Veltliner, some Chardonnay also, and some Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc. And it's basically an accumulation. Of course, we should never miss Grüner Veltliner in a way for the white. However, we will say that we have just as you see, a very strong Burgundy varietal affection when it comes to the sparkling wines that we have. Malolactic fermentation applied for all of these base wines, and your aging on the lees is now with your bottle about 18 to 20 months here with December, you said 18?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're on 20 months lease aging. Generally speaking, we are definitely now already on the 2 years lease aging side at this moment. Obviously, also given the conditions, what this last year brought to us, as you can imagine, we did not sell the same amount as in a regular year. Although it's good for sparkling wines like these to receive a little bit longer lease aging, because that's just when you get this beautiful toasty brioche, slight nutty character in there, aside from that, pure ripe green apple fruit or pear characters that you find in there. So it should be a multi-layered experience, hopefully, in the aroma and also on the palate.
Can you guys talk a little bit about your favorite food applications for these wines? Because these wines are quite serious and deserving of some, I mean, not only to be enjoyed as they are, but certainly can be paired with a myriad of dishes. So, so what are some of your go-tos?
There's one thing we always have to be in mind if you ask, what should I drink with sect? What should I eat with sect? We are eating everything with sect, because only think if you are going and having a glass of sparkling and then you eat some starters, being salty crackers, okay, but also sometimes you have oysters with it. Sometimes you have these little canapes. They serve everything. You can have some bloody little things, In Austria, we can have some Jause, just do a Jause with it. So you have cheese in the Jause, you have sausage in there, you have mixed pickles. Sorry, Andreas? I didn't hear.
A cold snack. Yeah.
A cold snack, all the cold snacks. And this you can, if you put it on a higher level in the cold snacks, you are with all the antipasti and all the primi things. So in the sense of also the ceviche styles, and so because those classic sects, they have only a little influence from wood. They are fresh, crisp, and not ultra sweet. So it's super versatile. And if we are in the mood, if you can have it as fried, all type of fried, from chicken to pork. For our schnitzels, I don't know if in Texas, I would not say no if somebody offered me a little bit of the pork, of your smoker's delight, and then get some glass of sect with it. Why not? You have the elements there, you have spicy elements, the slight sweetness is covering it with it, so it's a perfect harmony. So I guess
Paula, you see that with the Brut Reserve, you can be really as versatile as Thomas expressed, because it's actually quite, it's a dense, beautiful, nicely concentrated Brut with enough acidity, but it can really match and go up to veal and pork dishes, no doubt. For Brut Rosé, what we are having here now, I mean, it's certainly a classic start into the evening. It's beautiful to have with canapes, as Thomas expressed, ceviche, something of that sort is outstanding. Thomas just brought a great salmon from the southern part of Austria that he's affinating. So it comes from Norway, but just think along the lines of Arctic char, salmon, all of these beautiful fish dishes. they match beautifully well with the Brut Rosé.
This is exactly what Andreas said. It's so true with all these cured fish things. It's wonderful, but also we just had a call from Imperial Hotels, one of the top 3 hotels in Vienna. They have an incredible torte. It's not as popular as the Sacher torte, but it's you say it's a little bit modern in marketing style. It's a gorgeous little food, and it's working on the imperial thought of Sissi and the Emperor Joseph, but with a modern touch. And they wanted to have the Brut Rosé because they think it matches so well with their confections, you know. So with the imperial torte. Andreas says, do you read it?
Oh, I see. Yes.
Whenever you open a bottle, you can look inside and you have a hashtag there. Listen to the bubbles.
I love it. Listen to the bubbles.
And you will follow their advice. You will follow their advice. Sparkly.
Well, I just have one last question for you guys, and I know you've both been to Texas before. So my last question, it has nothing to do with wine, but I want to know what's your favorite thing about Texas?
Andreas, you want to start?
I remember I can't remember if it was my first time, but it was one of my first times, and I was in Austin, and seeing the music scene there, and just having such a beautiful time with both outstanding music and good food and wine. I guess that is a very fond memory of Texas. But must I say that you find such a great hospitality in your state, and I think this is something that this state is, you know, from an outsider, not visible at first sight, but once you're there, you feel beautifully welcomed, and this is what I remember from all my times in Texas, and that's a big bonus for your state.
Well, we can't wait to have you back.
Affirmative, Andreas. It's great, and I remember those wonderful boots our German people bought all around, and of course, your wonderful cured meat when you go on the street food, it is nice, but then you have both. You know, you have this. Yeah, you think of burgers and of smokers and everything, but then you go in a fine restaurant and they have everything. That's, if you're far away, you got only the stereotypes. And that was so nice to dive into Texas and see all this versatility that you have there too.
It is a diverse place, more so than people imagine. Oh, well, just to wrap things up here, we're so very grateful for your time. For Austrian Wine Time, with the Austrian Wine Council, we're going to be offering a 6-pack. One of the wines being featured at this will be through La Bergerie is the Brundlmayer Brut Rosé Reserve. A portion of the proceeds is going to a scholarship for the Texas Food and Wine Alliance that will be given later on this year. It is a wine-focused scholarship, and the Austrian Wine Council is generously giving as well. So we're really excited about that partnership and to be able to serve that kind of Austin, San Antonio Hill Country corridor. The Brundlmayer Brut Reserve, in addition to many other offerings, you can find on our wine list at Otto's, and also will be featured through the month of April as a special offering. So we look forward to continuing these conversations for years to come. And again, we're just so tremendously grateful for your time. And we look forward to the world becoming a more open and safe place so we can all get back to coming to visit one another. And next time, I hope that we're chatting, that it will be in person.
Cheers on this.
Cheers.
All the best to all of you.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Bye. Have a great day.
Cheers.